Hello, Magic players. This is Brian Rowe from Mythic MTG Tech, and I'm here to talk to you about the big changes with the banned and unbanned cards in pretty much every format except Standard. Let's jump right in here. Look at the announcement. This is from Wizards of the Coast yesterday, and this is effective the 23rd. In Modern, Dig Through Time, Treasure Cruise, and Birthing Pod are banned. Golgari Grave-Troll is no longer banned. Treasure Cruise is banned in Legacy, and Worldgorger Dragon is unbanned in Legacy. In Vintage, Treasure Cruise is restricted, and Gifts Ungiven is no longer restricted. Now, I'm going to put a link to the entire announcement here. The entire announcement goes over a lot of the logic on why they banned and unbanned things. And that's one of the most important things to look at here. They were not saying that Birthing Pod was unbeatable or that Treasure Cruise was unbeatable. They were saying that it did things to warp the format and they wanted to shake the formats up. So this new way of looking at cards for banning from Wizards is very different from the way it was 4 or 5 years ago. And I think this transition or this change really came about when they architected Modern as a format. Wizards is pushing really hard to get a certain type of diverse competitive play, and they're willing to ban and unban things to see what happens to get that diverse competitive play. I applaud them. It's great overall for the game. Let's talk about Birthing Pod for a minute. Birthing Pod basically has won more GPs in major tournaments than anything else in Modern. Birthing Pod has a list of answers in it that shut down a lot of different deck archetypes. There are a lot of one-ofs in Birthing Pod that make it an extremely powerful deck. I don't feel bad to see Birthing Pod go. There are going to be a lot of those one-ofs that maybe take a hit in value, but this isn't my speculation video. What is more interesting to me, though, is what happens if some of those decks try to reorchestrate themselves without Birthing Pod. I don't know what that would look like yet, but if you've got any ideas, let me know. Because I think there is still an opportunity to play a deck with a lot of answers and some interesting threats, maybe even some Siege Rhinos in that particular spot. Golgari Grave-Troll is back. This is going to help the Dredge decks significantly. I've played Grave-Troll in Legacy and in Vintage. He's a powerhouse. He makes the Dredge decks work. Now, we don't have Cobble Therapy, and Dread Return is still banned. Is Dredge going to be a powerhouse out of the box day one? No. But there are cards like Vengevine and Blood Gaps that will be really happy to see the Grave Troll. I am sure there is at least tier 2 deck that uses the Grave Troll, and maybe even a tier 1 deck. Watch out for this guy. He is also in the Izzet versus Golgari dual deck. If you see those on clearance anywhere, grab them up. They just doubled in price. Jeskai Ascendancy saved itself from the ban list. The logic seems to say that Jeskai Ascendancy was only doing great because Treasure Cruise was in the deck. And without Treasure Cruise, it's going to be inconsistent. Well, I don't like third turn kills, even if they're inconsistent. I would have banned this thing anyways. I'm still avoiding it like the plague. If there is an amazingly broken combo deck that goes off on turn 3 or turn 4 consistently, it's going to include the Ascendancy here. Watch for it. It's why I'm playing Abrupt Decays and some type of hand destruction in Rock in Modern, or I'm playing a controlling deck that has a lot of counter spells. Modern is really shook up because of Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise going. Now, Dig Through Time hasn't had a chance to make its mark on Modern because Treasure Cruise was overshadowing it. It makes sense to toss both of these at the same time. I thought they would ban them one at a time, but I don't feel bad about them both going at the same time because this really adds to more diversity in the environment for Modern. Modern is going to benefit from cards like Geist of St. Traft being much more playable as the format slows down without Treasure Cruise. And maybe this is the opportunity for Zoo to break into the Tier 1 decks. Zoo is very powerful with the inclusion of Wild Nicodle, and I will be watching Zoo closely. The Zoo Primer that I've got listed here by Lantern MTG is very good if you want to know something about the really fast aggro versions of Zoo. In Modern, Dark Confidant and Liliana the Veil just got much better. Lily is terrible against Treasure Cruise. I pulled Lily out of the main deck of pretty much all of my decks when Treasure Cruise was spoiled. Lily is so much better now. I look forward to playing Lily my guess is that Lily is going to shoot through the roof in the number of times that it gets played in modern decks. And Dark Confidant is a powerful, powerful card draw engine. It's terrible with Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time because you basically hit yourself in the face for a lot of damage, and you don't draw as efficiently as those other cards. But without those in the environment, Dark Confidant is back to reigning on his throne. Legacy, they made an interesting choice, which was to ban Treasure Cruise but keep Dig Through Time. I understand why Treasure Cruise is going, and I pushed for it to be banned in Legacy. It really warped the environment. It wasn't unbeatable, but it meant that a lot of deck archetypes were not really playable because the environment had sped up and attrition decks were so horrible. Dig Through Time takes 2 blue. I believe that it is a more balanced card and is probably okay in Legacy. Yes, I'm going to try to abuse it and break it in Legacy because that's the type of player I am. I look forward to playing it, though, a lot in the upcoming 3 to 6 months, figuring out whether it's just really good or broken. Worldgorger Dragon's back. With Animate Dead, you can get unlimited mana. And if you've got something to spend that mana on, that's a 3-card win. Does this bother me? No, not really. Not at all. There are lots of other degraded combos out there that use the graveyard. You just got to pack a lot of graveyard hate, or you're going to be eaten by Dredge or Reanimator, and now Reanimator just has a new target. Is Reanimator really the Tier 1 deck? No, it's Tier 2. Is this going to push it into Tier 1? I don't think so. It's going to stay Tier 2 with an occasional top 8 or maybe even a lucky win. But there's such good graveyard hate out there right now that I do not see the inclusion of Worldgorger Dragon as warping Legacy. I'm fine seeing it back. In Legacy, I'm more excited about what happens with Treasure Cruise gone. Shardless Agent, Smallpox, and True Name Nemesis are all real cards again. The format, if it slows down by a turn or two, these card advantage or attrition-based strategies become much, much better. Shardless Bug is going back together tomorrow. Vintage Treasure Cruise has been restricted. Does not surprise me at all. This card is so much better than Ponder, and in many cases better than Brainstorm. Yeah, that brings up a whole thing about whether Brainstorm should be banned in Legacy. Please don't ban Brainstorm in Legacy. Brainstorm's such a good fun card. But no, back to Vintage here. Drawing 3 cards when they're amazingly broken Vintage cards is just too powerful. I'm happy to see it restricted. I think Dig Through Time may also get restricted eventually. I'm definitely going to be playing a mid-range deck that has Dig Through Time in Vintage. Gifts Ungiven is back also. I was a little surprised Gifts Ungiven was banned. I understand that you can use it for a Reanimator combo, looking for only 2 items, putting both of them into your graveyard. There's got to be some other combos that are even more abusive out there with Gifts Ungiven. I never got a chance to play Gifts Ungiven as a 4-of in Vintage. I've played it as a singleton, and I usually cut it in favor of Jace or a better combo. I'm not too worried about it being back as a 4-of. The big thing that I look forward to in Vintage, though, is cards like Liliana the Veil and True Name Nemesis being better again. The environment is going to slow down, even if that only means a turn, to where attrition and control strategies are better again. I like playing mid-range in Vintage right now. Thanks, this has been Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech. If you've got any thoughts about cards that are skyrocketing up or plummeting down because of these bannings, please let me know. I'm working on my speculation video. It's probably going to come out next week, but I'd like a good idea of how these bannings and unbannings are going to affect the market. Also, thank you to everybody who's out there on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. You help make this channel happen. Anybody else who wants to join, please check out the link and head over to Patreon. Thanks.